Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the new holiday collection by OPI. This collection was inspired by the new Disney's Nutcracker film, but that will be in the description box as well as OPI's Instagram and my Instagram where you can see more swatches of everything from this collection. So I do have the regular 12 as well as the 3 glitter toppers, so we have 15 OPI shades to look at today, so let's just go ahead and get started. So first we have Black to Reality, and this is a black base with a super strong red shimmer. So here's our first coat of Black to Reality. This one's a little sheer on this first coat. It does have a really good formula. It is pretty consistent with the OPI cream formula where it's a little bit on the thinner side, but it is very easy to work with. It's also pretty streaky here on this first coat. It is one that's going to have to be built up to cover all of that. The shimmer in this stands out really nicely on the nails, which I was kind of scared it wouldn't. I know it's a darker base, which the shimmers tend to stand out better in that, but sometimes OPI shimmers just kind of disappear. But this is completely opaque here in 2 coats. This one also will dry pretty glossy on its own, though you will want a top coat if you want it to last. Nothing in here is going to dry texture. It'd be hard to remove, stain your nails, anything like that. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Ginger's Revenge, and this is a deeper brick red shade, and the closest thing I have to this in my OPI collection is Amore at the Grand Canal. They are obviously not the same. I mean, I might have something a little bit more similar, but everything else that I was looking at seemed to lean more purple, so this one is kind of an original in my large red shade option. Here's our first coat of Ginger's Revenge. And this covers really well here on this first coat. If you can only do 1 coat, you could probably get away with a thicker one. I am going to go in for 2 coats. It's going to deepen that color and make it look nice and squishy and almost bloody on the nail. This is one of those reds that you don't want to get in your cuticles. It will stay and hang out for eternity, so be careful when you're taking this one off. So here's our second coat, and this does cover completely in 2 coats. This one will also dry very glossy on its own, though if you want it to last, again, you will want a nice glossy top coat to finish this off, and I also feel like these kind of reds look really beautiful matte for the fall time. So there's 2 coats. So next up we have Candied Kingdom, and this is a little bit brighter of a red. It is still on the darker side as far as the red spectrum goes, but it is kind of a red that OPI comes out with frequently. And then the closest thing I have to this is Adam said it's New Year's Eve. Red is OPI's jam, so you probably have something super similar to this already in your collection. Here's our first coat of Candied Kingdom. And reds with OPI, the formulas are down. This is just about opaque here on this first coat. I am going to add a second coat just for giggles, but I would easily wear this one here on 1 coat. The formula is pretty standard to the OPI cream. It's on the thinner side as far as formulas in general go, but it's not hard to work with or anything like that. So here's our unnecessary second coat. This one also dries very glossy on its own. Once again, you'll want a top coat if you want it to last, and once again, you'll want to avoid getting this in your cuticles. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Dazzling Dew Drops, and this is a beautiful antique gold shade, and the closest thing I have to this is the Gift of Gold Never Gets Old. It's much more of a white gold, but they are in the same idea, I believe. Here's our first coat of Dazzling Dew Drops. This one also has a really good formula. Once again, a little bit on the thinner side, but very manageable. And once you have a base coat laid down, this one will feel just like butter. I don't swatch with a base coat, so you know, I don't get that pleasure that this is completely opaque here in 2 coats. You may want to go in for a 3rd coat. The removal on this is a little bit messy, but it's not difficult. Nothing in here is going to dry textured, and this one will dry very glossy on its own, but you will again want that top coat. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Envy the Adventure, and this is a beautiful bright tree green cream. And then the closest thing I have to my to this in my collection is Christmas Gone Plaid. My bottle is just gross. Maybe I should shake that up first. So anyway, Christmas Gone Plaid is a little bit deeper, while Envy is much brighter, so no exact dupes. Here's our first coat of Envy the Adventure. So this one's a little sheer and streaky here on this first coat, but the formula is pretty good, pretty standard as far as the creams of OPI go. If you've used an OPI cream, this is pretty much the same kind of feel. Again, a little bit streaky here on this first coat as well. It does feel a little bit jelly-ish. So here's our second coat, and this does cover completely in 2 coats, and it straight reminds me of a Christmas tree and would look absolutely stunning paired with Candied Kingdom. This one will also dry nice and glossy on its own, though once again you will want a top coat if you want to wear it for an extended period of time. And nothing in here stained me. So there is 2 coats. Up next we have Dreams Need Clara-fication, and this is a beautiful periwinkle cream. I don't have anything like this in my OPI collection already. I do have some China Glaze that are like it, but as soon as I saw it, I assumed OPI had many of these. Granted, I don't have the most extensive OPI collection. I do have a good bit, and this is an original for my OPI line. Here's our first coat of Dreams Need Clara-fication. This one's a little bit patchy here on this first coat, but overall it does cover really well. Again, that same standard OPI cream formula. You'll want to work in nice thin coats to avoid running and pooling, but they aren't difficult to work with by any means. And like I said, if you wear a base coat, which you should, you won't have the running and pooling issue anyway. So this is completely opaque here in 2 coats for me. I could see needing a 3rd coat to get rid of any other kind of streaking, but if you lightly float your brush, 2 coats would be just fine. But if you're a little heavy-handed, you might want a 3rd, so there's 2 coats. So up next we have Tinker Thinker Winker, and this is a clear base with a silver holographic micro glitter making up everything in it. Here it is next to Ornament to Be Together, just so you can see the kind of shade of silver this is. It's a little bit lighter. And then I do have it also next to DS Sapphire, which is much more blue, but the difference in holographic here, where DS Sapphire is a linear, and then Tinker Thinker Winker is a completely made up of micro glitter. Here's 1 coat of Tinker Thinker Winker over Envy the Adventure. I did show this as a topper and then 3 coats on its own as well. This has a super dense formula. It's fantastic. It covers nice and evenly. I do love this combination. It reminds me of a lit up Christmas tree, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So there is 1 coat, and there is 3 coats. Up next we have March in Uniform, and this is a deep navy cream. It is looking more purple and more bright here in person, or in camera, than it is in person. It is very, very deep in person. And then I did want to show this next to Turn on the Northern Lights, just as far as a shade reference goes. Obviously it's a cream, and then the Northern Lights is a shimmery polish, but it is a good idea of what kind of shade this is. Here's our first coat of March in Uniform. So this is a little bit streaky here on this first coat as well. I did do a little bit thicker of a coat on my pinky, and you can see that it did run to the sides, where my sides are a little bit thicker than the center area, so you will want to work in nice thinner coats for this polish. Here's our second coat, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats. This is another one that you'll want to avoid getting in your cuticles for staining purposes. This one also dries really glossy on its own, and nothing in here actually stained my nails. Just be careful for your cuticles, so there's 2 coats. Up next we have Berry Fairy Fun, and this is a purpley magenta base with a stronger purple shimmer. And I don't have anything even close to this in my collection from OPI. Here's our first coat of Berry Fairy Fun. This is a little sheer here on this first coat, but the formula is really good and easy to work with. The shimmer that's in here, or the sparkly particles, do stand out really, really well against the base color in this one as well. And no formula complaints. Here's our second coat, and this does cover completely in 2 coats for me. Depending on your application, you may want to go in for a 3rd coat. This one doesn't dry the glossiest of them all, so you will want a top coat to finish this one off. And nothing in here is hard to remove or dries textured. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have a Lavendare to Find the Courage, and this is a lilac-y pink shade. And then next to that I wanted to show one Hecla of a color. It is deeper and more mauve-y purple, but for some reason that is the closest thing I could find, unless I was looking in the wrong section of my OPIs. Hold on. You know what, here it is next to 7 Wonders of OPI. So much more, or a little bit more pinky, and then 7 Wonders is more nudie, but it is definitely closer than one Hecla of a color. Here's our first coat of Lavendare to Find the Courage. And this is extremely opaque in 1 coat. If you were super careful with your coats, you could easily get this one opaque in 1 coat. I am going to go for two coats because I had a little bit of streaking on the first coat here. The formula on this is really good though. It's a little bit thicker than OPI creams usually are, but it makes it very, very easy to work with. So this is completely opaque in 2 coats for me. This one's also going to dry really glossy on its own. You will want a top coat once again if you want it to last any kind of length of time, and being so opaque, this one didn't stain me either. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Toying with Trouble, and this is a bright Barbie pink cream. And OPI does come out with these pretty often as well, but here it is next to their most recent one, You're the Shade That I Want. So I think if you got the full Grease collection, you probably don't need both. Here's our first coat of Toying with Trouble. And once again, OPI has this formula packed. This is very easy to work with, no running or pulling or staining. You could very easily wear this in 1 coat if you didn't have time for a 2nd coat. I am going to go ahead and show you what a 2nd coat looks like today, but I would definitely call this a 1-coater. So here's our 2nd coat, and this one is still opaque in 2 coats as it was in 1 coat. This one's also going to dry very glossy on its own. You will want that top coat if you want it to last though, and nothing in here stained me. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Dancing Keeps Me on My Toes, and this is a beautiful white pearl shade that's just not a Christmas collection without a beautiful pearl shade. And then here it is next to Snow Glad I Met You, which, what is this? Dancing Keeps Me on My Toes is whiter, while what is this? Snow Glad I Met You is more of a cream. Here's our first coat of Dancing Keeps Me on My Toes. This one's pretty sheer here on this first coat. It is a frosty white, so that is to be expected. The formula on here is good. It is a little bit on the thinner side, as OPI creams usually are, but in their, frosty finish. So here's 2 coats, and this builds up well in 2 coats. I am going to go in for a 3rd coat though. This one is going to dry pretty glossy on its own, though once again you will want a nice top coat to finish it off. The removal of this, nothing in here is going to stick to your nails, but the shimmery particles in this that make it that frosty finish are going to make quite a mess on your nails, so just keep that in mind. This is completely opaque in 3 coats. Not all of those brush strokes are going to disappear. A lot of them do hang around, so you will want to be cautious about working in nice straight strokes or sponge on your 3rd coat. So there's 3 coats. So moving on to the glitter toppers, I did want to go ahead and say I will be showing these over polishes in the collection, and then I will have swatch photos of them in 3 coats on their own. I don't do the sponging method, so if you did that, you could probably get them opaque easier. But they are mostly opaque in 3 coats. All of these are pretty similar in that they're a clear base with a bunch of different glitters, and this one has that standard yellowy gold, white, and then a deeper kind of gold metallic glitter, and then I believe some of those white glitters are matte. And then today I'll be layering this over Ginger's Revenge. So here's 1 coat of Gold Key to the Kingdom. This has a great formula. You do want to manipulate those glitters to go right where you want them, but you don't have to like shake the bottle, hold it upside down or anything like that. This one is the most densely packed with glitter. This one you can also wear in 3 coats on its own. This is probably the only one that I would recommend. This is also going to dry pretty textured, so you'll want a nice glossy top coat, and removal's a little difficult. So there's 1 coat. Up next we have Dreams on a Silver Platter, and this one has the silver, the white, and a like white gold micro glitter. And all of these also have like a tiny silver micro glitter in there as well. And I'll be layering this one over March in Uniform. Here's our first coat of Dreams on a Silver Platter, and this one also has that same formula, nice glitter distribution. This one has the most even glitter to base ratio. I would not necessarily recommend this one on its own if it's not sponged on though, and again this will dry textured and a little difficult to remove, so there is 1 coat. And then lastly for today we have I Pull the Strings, and this one's like a coppery glitter, the white glitter, and then a rose gold glitter, and then regular gold glitter, and then again it does have those same little micro glitters throughout it. And then today I am layering this over Toying with Trouble. And here's 1 coat of I Pull the Strings. I feel like this one has the least amount of glitter distribution, but if you held it upside down, sponged it on, you would get a lot more. Again, a great formula. This one's going to dry a little textured. It's going to be a little bit difficult to remove, especially if you build these up. If you build these up to full opacity on their own, they are very difficult to take off. So there's 1 coat. I narrowed it down to 5, so you're welcome. So one of my favorites is Dazzling Dew Drops. This is a stunning gold. I don't often like just straight gold shades, but this one is so beautiful, so flattering. It's nothing like another gold that I have, which is crazy, but I definitely don't have a gold in this shade, so I really, really appreciate that for this. The next one being Envy the Adventure. I love green nail polish, and this one reminds me of a Christmas tree. I don't even think I have to justify that, so Envy the Adventure. Tinker, Thinker, Winker, because hollow, and it's beautiful. It's great as a topper. It's great built up on its own. It's got a good formula. I really like the versatility of it, and it's holographic from OPI, so has to be a favorite. So if I could have included all 3 glitter toppers in my favorites, I would have, but I did narrow it down to 1, which I chose Dreams on a Silver Platter because I feel like the silver would go better with just about everything, and it looks a little bit more wintry. But I do really thoroughly enjoy all of the glitters. And last, but probably my absolute favorite, is Black to Reality. This is so fall, so winter, so stunning, so everything. If you can only get one, I do suggest this one. The other ones are amazing, where I would definitely recommend those. But if you can only get one, I love this. There was one in a Germany collection. It was before I was collecting OPI, but I think it was a Germany collection that looks similar to this. I don't have it. I wish I did, but I can't find it, so I'm really, really glad I have this one. And that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking it up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. I will talk to you again next time.